This video is a companion video for a workshop that I ran in my community recently on Introduction to Gel Plate Printing. We had an absolute blast, but I wanted to make a video to just slow down some of those steps that we did and capture them so that you can set yourself up correctly every time you're doing your gel plate printing, and just reduce any of that stress that people often talk about, which is like, I don't want to make a mess, or like, I'm not sure how to get started. And so I'm just going to show you how I go about setting up myself so that I have a bit of order, so then I can get into the kind of chaos of gel plate printing, because it's very experimental. So just to get started, I'm going to use this small gel plate today. It's a 3x5. I've got bigger ones, but for this video, I'll just use the small one. And I've also got my Brayer, which I keep in a packet. I've got some acrylic paints, and I've got a couple other things to the side that I'll bring in as we need. But the most important thing is to set your working space up. And so I've just got an old paper bag that I've cut up, and this will actually come in a low handy to just protect your space, but also be part of your workspace. So grab one of those. You're going to want to open it out and spread it out. Then I want to set up my gel plate. So I'm going to pop it out of the packet. And if you haven't seen one of these before and somehow you've discovered this video, this is what they're like. So they're a soft plate where you can produce mono prints. So mono means one, so it means every time you do a print, it's unique. And I'm going to pop that down in my workspace. There's a little bit of a misconception around how these work. So they really are taking an impression. Some people think that you're carving into it, or that you're pressing the actual like texture into it, but it's actually, and I'm going to show you rather than talk about it, what's actually happening is that the impression's being taken by the paint. Okay, now I've got a bit of acetate or a plastic sheet. That's where I'm going to roll out my paint on. Alright, and I get my brayer out. So I need a place to put my paint. I need a place for my prints. I'm also going to need paper. So this can be anything. It can be scrappy paper. If you do altered books like I do, you can use pages from that. You've always got extra pages, but you can use anything. And yeah, so grab some paper. Alright, and now I'm going to choose a colour to get started with. I'm just using this acrylic paint. It's a Reed's brand. You can use watercolor and you can use oil. That would be a little bit of a different approach potentially. I'm going to focus on acrylics. Okay, so I've got my paint out, and I'm going to start rolling that on to my brayer. So I'm going back and forth. Oh yeah, if you have not got an apron on, you might want to do that. And what I'm looking for is a thin layer of paint. That's what I want. That's looking pretty good. That's kind of the ideal. It's not too thick, and it's not too thin, and it's nice and consistent across there with the texture. And you can almost see it looks like little butterfly wings. It's very beautiful. Okay, and so the first thing I'm going to take you through is just applying paint to the actual plate. So I'm just going to roll that back and forth. My workshop I called soft impressions, because that's really what we're doing. We're making these really soft impressions. It's almost like when you take off a piece of jewelry at the end of the day and you can see the mark from your jewelry or clothing. It's a little bit like that. It's there for a while, but not forever. And the first thing I'm going to do, so the first thing that I'm going to do is actually just take a print of this plate, just so you can see how that works. I'm going to place my paper over the plate, and then I'm going to rub with my palm flat on it. and then just peel away. And so that is just pulling the texture from the plate, and that's quite beautiful already. Just grabbing the texture that already kind of exists on the plate. All right. And so I can see that maybe my pressure, I wanted to rub probably a bit harder on the edges. And look, if you have a second brayer, you can use the brayer to go over the top of your paper when you're taking your print. But most people won't have that, so just use your hand. And it's a beautiful collaboration really between your hand and the plate to grab textures. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is actually play with grabbing texture. And got some stuff from the workshop the other day, so I'm just going to place this down. Oops, already got my finger in there. This happens. I'm going to have a little play with toilet roll, one of my favorite things. And what else am I going to use? I might just press a shell into this so you can see what's really happening. What really is making the print is the lifting away of the paint. So it's not that it makes a mark or a dent in the actual plate. It's that you're lifting away paint and revealing like negative space, and that's creating the image, the print image. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this print. Felt that move quite a bit because I have a bulky item. I'm going to smooth that out. What I'm also going to do is I'm just going to take a pen and I'm going to mark the edges of my plate. You'll see why in a moment. Peel that off and see how we went. Okay, so this is a print of the negative space. You could see I would probably benefit from a second brayer to just pick up the edges of this paint here. But I'm not so fussed about that, because what I'm actually going to do next, like I've got this beautiful negative space and that's a great print in itself, but what I want to do now is pick up the texture of the actual item that I'm making the centerpiece. So I'm going to pull this off and you can see all that beautiful texture in there that's been picked up from this item. And now I'm going to place this back down, try my best to line up where I was, not always that easy, and then I'm going to go back over the top of that. Pick up on the edges there where I've missed before. And I've picked up just that really gentle texture that was left from these leaves. So it's very subtle, but it is there. Let's give that one a go again actually. So I'm gonna, once again, I'm pretty dry over here, very dry. I'm taking off the paint, so we need some more paint, so I'm going to grab some more. One of the reasons people might work with acrylics is because they're easy to clean up, but you might work with oils because you've got more working time. Obviously acrylics are water-based, so they just dry a bit quicker. And this is just an intro video, so we're just going to go through some basic techniques, just get your head around it. Sometimes you just need to see things and you kind of get the concept. All right, beautiful. So let's give this another go. Got so many beautiful items here, it's hard to choose. Alright, I'm going to go for this very awesome cocktail Tony thing, I don't know. Pop that in there. And pop this leaf down as well. And I might bring the shells back in because there seems to be a bit of a sea theme. So this is the part where we're kind of creating our image. And I might bring these in as well. Under the sea. Okay. So now I'm going to grab a bit of paper. Just going to cut this down. And let's just see how we go. It's a bit of a bulky one, so it could be a little bit challenging to get the shape of our seahorse. And here we go, the reveal. See how he went. Ooh, very interesting. Very cool shape. I'm going to pull away these items. So, I mean, I love that, but I am going to go and grab this other print. And now you could take this print on a separate piece of paper. Or you could try and grab it back. Actually, maybe I'll take it on a separate piece of paper and then I'll go back through this again. So I'll pop this down just so you can see the difference. Yeah, cool, right? And then there's this beautiful kind of leftover marks on here. What I'm going to do is go back and do that all over again. I've got a bit of a plan here to show you. I think one of the most important things about printmaking in general, and you'll notice I'm leaving my brayer on the back like this. This is the appropriate way to leave it. We don't want the paint to congeal or get stuck if we put it down like this. That will happen, and then it's really hard to clean off your brayer. So this is just all the things to remember if you want your materials to last longer. So I'm going to pop this down. I will do the side of the leaf again. I'll pop this back in there. I quite like that. I might bring in a little flower this time. Come in with my shell. And of course, with your gel plate, they have a gelatin type feel and they're pretty strong, but you wouldn't want to use anything sharp that would pierce it, then your plate wouldn't last so long. Should be a little devastating. Alright, I'm going to try using this tracing paper this time. We'll see how we go. Okay, well, it's very easy to see, right? Okay, off we go. We're going to grab the print. Pressing into all the edges that you can. Alright. I don't really need to mark it because as you can see, I can really see the edges. Alright, I'm going to pull this off. Alright, and now I'm going to grab the actual texture from the items. So going back over this. Oh, look at that. That's a bit of magic, isn't it? You could also use baking paper. You just want to leave it to dry for quite a bit, I suppose. Okay, now let's reveal that. Yes, very cool. Okay, nice. I'm going to ink up again. See, my paint is actually getting a funky texture because it's drying out. I'll show you actually, so you can see kind of the dry paint kind of congealing on the top there. that's a cool texture to take on its own actually. I'm going to pop down a little bit more paint. And in terms of paint, I would go for a student grade paint. We've used poster paint in workshops before. It's very thin, and a lot of the paints are translucent, which is really cool for finding layers. But I think a slightly higher grade acrylic is also really good to work with as well. All right, I'm going to give these leaves a bit of a go. A bit of this packing paper. And press that in a bit. And you might be saying, where are you putting your prints? I'm actually just piling them to the side because my paint is not that thick. They are sort of almost dry instantly. They're a little wet, but they're okay to kind of sit on each other. Alright, so I'm just going to pop this down. That's more to grab the paint onto the actual item. So this is what I'm really doing at this moment, because there won't be so much on there, obviously. I'm going to pull that off and pull my leaf off, and now I'm going to grab that really beautiful texture that's been left behind. Nice. Okay, so that's a play with negative space and collecting those images and how you do that on the layers. There's one last thing I'm going to show you in this introduction video, which is grabbing a ghost print, which is this. So there are textures that are left on this plate, and what we're going to do is let this dry for about 10 minutes. So I'm going to come back in 10 minutes. I'm going to show you how we can grab this print and make it a whole new image by adding in a different color. And while I'm doing that, what I'm going to do is clean off my plate. So my paint plate and my brayer. So with my brayer, I'm actually going to use the paper to do that and just get off as much paint as I can. I'm not going to bother washing the whole thing. I think it's fine to just get the paint off there, and then I'm going to wash this off with some paper towel. Because it's acrylic paint, it has a bit of plastic in it, and I don't really want to wash it in the sink because I don't want that going into the ocean. So I'm going to get just some dishwashing detergent and just kind of rub it off best that I can. And we'll take one more print, and then I'm going to show you how to wash, or step you through how to wash your plate and dry it so it's ready to go into storage and then to be used again. While I'm cleaning off my plate, I just discovered that I actually really like the marks that I'm making while I'm scrubbing away. And so I'm kind of turning this into a gel plate. Like, I think that's cool. So I'm just cleaning this down to get off the bulk of it. But it's actually kind of becoming its own print plate. So let's give that a go. Don't want to waste paint. Let's just see. Well, let's see, hey, if it has any effect. I don't know that it has the skin-like impression. No, it really doesn't. But it picks up the cool surface image. But unlike the gel plate, it doesn't quite have what we need to really hold the Alright, we're going to continue on with the experiment here, just to see if we can grab the ghost print. What I'm going to do is use a different colour to go over the top. And with this, it's always a bit of an experiment. to see, yeah, if I've left it long enough. But this is the idea, and so when you're in your space doing this, you give it a go too, and you just experiment. It'll be different depending on the type of paint you use. Alright, so let's see how we go. I'm going to grab some paper. Fingers crossed I've been patient enough. Potentially not. Let's see. Alright, so yes, a little bit patient. I could have waited a little bit longer, but proof of concept. This is how you grab your ghost print. So that'll be a print that's been left on the plate. And it gets picked up. And sometimes it does it on its own, because you'll notice we don't clean off the plate in between. We just keep working. So unless you really wanted to remove something, you'd wash it off during the process. Otherwise, you just leave it there because it's usually getting picked up. And again, I could probably go back and pick that up. But yeah, that's the ghost print. So give that one a go. So those are the different techniques just to introduce you to the gel plate. And next, I'm going to show you how to just clean it off really simply. And then I'm going to show you some ideas of inspiration of what to do with your prints. How to clean everything up. I promise this will be easy so you don't get stressed about things. So I'm just going to use like really gentle dishwashing liquid, and ideally you want a bit of warm water. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lift all the paint off, then I'm going to wash it in the sink, but I just want to get rid of all that acrylic paint because it has plastic and we don't want to hurt this guy, right? Cool. And then same here. And look how cool that is. I'm going to grab that. Get the prints from everywhere. Ooh, interesting. Ooh, even more interesting. Alright, so then I want to try and get rid of all this best that I can. A lot of fun stuff happening there. That's got a significant amount off, and then the last thing is actually getting as much paint off here, and I just use this, and like this is gorgeous to me. I will use that for something else, or I'll just reuse it next time I want to do a print. And then same thing, nice and gentle. You can also use baby oil. I might need a fresh bit of towel. You can use baby oil if you're really having a hard time getting stuff off your brayer and your plate, like if it's really not budging. But really it should just be, you should be able to get it off with a little bit of soap and some warm soapy water. So you could get a bucket and just mix up something and kind of bathe stuff. But what I really want to do is just really get rid of all that paint if I can, so I'm not washing that down the sink. That's looking better and better, and then a final wash will kind of get that off. Give this guy a little bath as well. Rub it up. Scrub, scrub, scrub. And that's also okay if paint stays on there. That can be really interesting. What a delight for this little cocktail Twizzler thing. So then the final thing would be to just actually wash this down under the sink, which I'll do right now. Okay, so I've just washed that under the sink. And I just want to dry it off. So that would probably make a cool mark if I had paint on it. So I will let that dry before storing that away. I will wash down these things. I am a little strange and I actually love saving these, and then I use them. I actually use them for like collage and stitching and whatnot, because I just think they're so interesting. You don't have to. You can do whatever you like. But that's pretty much it for the intro to gel plate printing. And I did promise, I'm just going to put this to the side. So how I pack everything down, I would put this back into my box of things to use. I would keep using them. I run workshops where I stitch leaves and things like that, and do collage. So I would definitely use that again. You get to choose what you want to do. And now I'm just going to put things to the side to dry. And again, this can it can go, or you can keep it. I would keep it, that's just me. And then let's just check out the prints that we've got. So many prints. Fun, experimental. Who knows what's going to happen when you muck around with jelly print. Just look how many I've generated. You might be like, well, that's cool, but like, what do you do with this? Like, none of them are really presentable. Not that that's the point. Like, this is more about like just having a play, because if you're too scared to take a risk, you're not even going to try. What I can share with you is that I actually use prints like this to make little journals. So you can see my play here from the studio, where I've stitched together pages. Here's another one. I made this one from like scraps from books. And guess what? I'm going to make a video showing you how to do this. So that will be in the description. You'll go to that, and that's where you'll find out how to turn all this into journals that can be a standalone artist book, or you can actually use them as journals, you know, depending on how you put them together. All right, so you can join me over there for that. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know.